Well, welcome on this beautiful Friday evening. Come on in, everyone. Join us on the Cluster Puck podcast, part of the MHRT network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here is Brit. How's it going, Brit?
Better now. I considered asking if you wanted to do like shock and awe podcast. I'm like, there's just enough negativity. Maybe we should just wait till we're feeling a little bit better.
There you go.
After we win this game, ideally, because it's been a very rough week as an Avs fan.
Stress, definitely stress. That's for sure.
If we won that game the other night, I don't know if we'd all be living here to talk about it.
Yeah, no kidding. We would be gonzo. But before we get into kind of everything that transpired over this last week, don't forget everyone to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck podcast go live. You can follow them on the various social media platforms that they have. If you want to follow us specifically, you can follow us at Cluster Puck Avs, the Cluster Puck. No, wait, I'm getting mixed up. The Cluster Puck podcast on Facebook and at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. There we go. That's the right one.
We'll be here on and off most of the summer. So next week we'll for sure have a podcast regardless of the season. And we'll probably have a summer schedule squared away, but we won't be gone for the summer. So
we're not talking about summer. We're not done yet. What's this? What's this? Anyways, so last week, Britt, when we spoke, we had the 1-0 series lead against Dallas. Well, that's not the case anymore. We now trail 3-2. The 4 games that are transpired, you just run into this buzzsaw and lose 3 games straight, down 3-1, and you manage to win game 5. So now it's a 3-2. The next game here is going to be in about an hour. So obviously we're going to try to wrap this up so you guys can hop on over to the neighborhood and watch their live stream as the game transpires. But I guess the burning question, Britt, is what happened?
I mean, I suppose we should just get the nuke talk right off the bat, just be done with it. Is that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I feel like everything prior to that almost feels irrelevant. We lost 2 games while Nuke was still on the team. I don't know. The team has just been a little bit disheveled, which we nearly made our big comeback again and didn't quite get there in the first loss. The second loss, we looked really bad, even with Nuke. And we're not capable of knowing what was – they may have had a hint of something being wrong. It surely seemed like in the last – I don't know what your take is on it, but it really feels like in the last – honestly, since this series started, something has been amiss in the locker room. Something isn't right. On top of that, it feels like we've got some dudes playing injured. You cannot tell me that Rantanen is not playing with an injury. I know that a lot of people have a lot of negative feelings about him at any given time, but you can't tell me that he's not playing injured. He appears to have some kind of hip injury, something like that. Makar also looks injured. I don't know what your take is on it, but I truly think that when it's all said and done, Makar and Rantanen are going to have pretty serious injuries that they're going to reveal.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you there, but I think at least for those 2 games, so they win game 1 in overtime, they lose game 2. Let's see, because when did that news break? 2 games ago, right? Our second home game, was it?
The game before last, yep. And I saw the thing from Elliot Friedman about an hour and a half before game time, and apparently that's exactly when it was broken to the team. He did morning skate with them. He had lunch with the team. They didn't let the team know until the team arrived back from their afternoon of leaving the rink. So it's hard not to say that they're justified in how they played in some way, because there is playing with a chip on your shoulder or playing angry. Those guys didn't even have time to make it to the angry feeling. And I think that the next game, so we had our last game, which was a win. We had the game prior to that, which was the loss without Nichuskin. We also found out about an hour before game time that we were missing Taze, which he has the flu. Is it the head injury flu? I don't know.
Could be.
I could understand them not wanting to release that because why give Jamie Benn more reason to go after Tate? And then prior to that, we had a not great loss. And then prior to that, we had the loss, the near comeback loss. Is that right?
Yep. So let's dissect that then. So game 2, they lose to the Stars 5-3. This
every
was one
is skewed though. There's empty netters in every game. Every game,
and there is. Yep. I think and this one was off of a technicality. I would like to consider this one to be a 3-4 loss because of the and the Lindell empty netter.
Yeah.
But my big issue with this one was you go down 4-0.
Yeah, can we not?
Could we not? Exactly.
This for every single game. Georgiev is not the problem. He's not the problem for this game. He's not the problem for any single game since the first game. Are there a couple you'd like to have back? Yes.
Yeah.
But ask Ottinger about some goals that he'd like to have back also.
Exactly.
Georgiev is simply not the problem at this point.
Yep. And this was the issue that I saw for the rest of the games, right? Yeah. I mean, I'll even just go through game 3. Game 3, you go down 3-1, right? You were able to tie it, but 3-1 is effectively something you had to try to crawl out of. Game 4, you lose that game 5-1, and you're down 3-0 again.
Did they say it was 15 games since the Avs have scored the first goal in a
something
playoff?
like that? It's
just the same thing in the championship year. Last year, every game against Seattle, I don't think we scored the first goal in any game. It's honestly insanity. It's absolute insanity. You'd think at some point they would just lose their minds and go out there like sickos. We are absolutely not saying Bo Byram should have been traded. I love Bo Byram, and I think that the Bo Byram. Oh, sorry, we got a comment here. I honestly think that the Bo Byram trade will go down as one of the best hockey trades benefiting both teams in the last 10 years. It's one of the truest, most wholesome hockey trade. Middlestead he scored 2 goals in this series. How many goals have we scored in total? Not very many. I mean,
not a ton.
And the thing with Middlestead is this is long term. He's every single game. I'm more reassured that we solved our 2C, which is way scarier than any other problem that we've had.
Yeah. Excuse me. What I would probably accumulate at least game 2 again. You tried to mount a comeback and you were getting there. You ran out of time and an empty netter, right? But my game 2 thing is like, why did you have to fall into the hole in the first place?
Because it is unfortunate. Right? We did just run out of time. We should have been able to beat them in a normal fashion.
You could have been able to, right? Because you had goals by Joel Kiviranta, Brandon Duhaime, and Val Nichuskin, right? 2 of which you're like, wow, I didn't think they would actually come to play. But your depth in the third period decided to show. Yeah. And again, 4 minutes left. It was 3-4. That's 4 minutes. And if you get aggressive, you could have tied the game with maybe a minute left or something like that. Something could have happened, right? But again, you were needlessly trailing going into that third period, right?
The fact that we still have faith when we're down by 3 with 4 minutes left tells us that this team has the capability to win a game in normal time frames. Like we shouldn't have to win like this.
Exactly. But again, it's a comeback that you couldn't replicate game 1, right?
Yeah.
You can't do it all the time, right?
It's not sustainable at all. Like
it was a valiant effort. Yeah, valiant effort.
But all of our luck on that.
Exactly. But I was hoping the next 2 games at home, you're in great shape. You got the home ice advantage.
Come out blazing, angry.
Game 3, you drop a dud, like an absolute dud. Yes, you do end up tying the game somehow 1-1, but that goal almost felt like a yay, here's something for the home crowd, and that's about
you arrived.
Yeah. And it was this game 3 was it was all Dallas.
And it stings particularly because Rantanen, McKinnon, and honestly not Joanne, but particularly Rantanen and McKinnon, they've been awful.
Yeah.
They've not been good at all. And especially as McKinnon we're all out here arguing for him to win the Hart Trophy. It's pretty painful to watch the appearances when it doesn't seem that McKinnon has been hurt with anything, but Makar and Taze, almost liabilities, which we've said at other points before during this time. But we're not going anywhere if McKinnon, Ranton, and Taze and Makar don't show up. We could just bow out. Sorry, I have the hiccups.
No, you're good.
But, we just bow out. There's no sense in even continuing and letting them get injured more.
Yeah. Yep. One thing in this game 3 that stuck out to me was, in the good way, you were 50-50 on the faceoff percentage, so that's a win. You did outshoot them. You did out-hit them. They got one power play opportunity, and I don't think they scored from it. We got 3 and didn't score from it.
Our power play and our penalty kill have been the end of us. I mean, they will literally be the end of our playoff run. I didn't even know it was possible for it to be this bad, honestly.
Yeah.
I love Cogliano, but
yeah. But here's the stat that I looked at that I said this is what sunk you, obviously. And besides kind of the lack of effort, the lack of play, this stat line is kind of what surprised me. So the block shots and then the takeaway giveaway percentage, right? So block shots, the Avalanche had 14. The Stars had 24. Right? That means that they got into any lane you tried to present yourself with, any shot you could try to get off, and it didn't even reach Ottinger. Right?
Especially if we supposedly have, I'm going to shut my camera off. I got to take my hoodie off. I'm overheating here. But if we have any fear that our goalie is our problem, why are we not creating a brick wall around him?
Yep. 14, which again, if you look at a typical game, maybe that's average, but for a playoff game, that should be higher. Right? Especially when you have you just had the game or had the series get tied 1-1, right? You would think coming back home, you have to set tone, you have to show them their, put them in their place, show them Avalanche hockey, that kind of rhythm. But they have 10 more block shots, almost twice, I'll say, almost twice as many shots blocked as you did. It just doesn't make for an easy time.
You sacrifice your whole body. That's everything that the playoffs is it's all the sacrifices are out there. It's all in.
It is. Then the next stat, real quick, before we get into the next game, is the giveaway takeaway ratio. So takeaways, it was pretty similar, right? 11 for the Stars, 13 for the Avalanche, right? So you did just narrowly win that one. But the giveaways, 12 for the Avalanche, 5 for the Stars.
What, like 4 of those from Cale Makar and the other 6 from Josh Manson, and then maybe 2 from someone else?
Yep, just 12 giveaways, though. That is a lot of opportunity for odd man rushes, breakouts.
Numbers are insane. Absolutely inexcusable, really.
Yep. And this was all before, game 4 during the whole Nichuskin incident. So you'd think you have him on the ice, you have a healthy roster, right? Taves was still playing. I think, was it Drouin's first game back as well in that one, or was that game 4?
Well, he looked rusted. Drouin certainly hasn't been an issue.
I think it might have been the next game, but regardless,
that Nuke went out, so they did not overlap at all.
That's right.
So the game that was supposed to be +1 was when we became actually -2.
That's right. So despite apart from Drouin, you had an entirely healthy roster. Excuse me, one that should go toe to toe with the Stars, because you look at the regular season.
They're missing Hockenpot, and now they were missing Rupe Hintz.
So that's not. I think matchup wise, you still match up quite well with the Stars.
Tanev is playing hurt. He's still Tanev. Up until I think it was in the second game, I heard the statistic that McKinnon and Eichel had not scored a 5-on-5 goal throughout the entire series while Tanev is on the ice.
Are you serious?
Kind of makes you regret missing Tanev because he has been an absolute game breaker for Dallas. You can tell that they got lucky with him because he really was kind of an under-discussed free agent, but man, that dude is an absolute animal in the playoffs.
Yeah. So again, just a real crusher as far as momentum goes. Then you go into game 4. And like we mentioned earlier, just an hour or whatever before the game was supposed to take place, you get the news that Val Nichuskin, for the second postseason in a row, is gone.
Yep, and you would get it. It was honestly, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, I just am dramatic, like, about these things. It felt like a genuine gut punch. I mean,
it did.
If you think about, like, the fans like us, obviously we're relatively hardcore fans, but the win from our sales and hearing that news, can you imagine his own teammates literally hearing at the exact same time? I saw it on an Elliot Friedman news post and it was so not explanatory. It said that Val Nichuskin has entered the stage 3 of the player assistance programs. Minimum suspension 6 months, can reapply for reinstatement.
No pay.
That's all. Yeah. And we're like, wait, what? Like, is this, I honestly thought, is this a joke? Like, is this?
Yeah, because you had texted me and I was like, what is this?
It felt like it was just that they were saying, and what's weird too is, like, I almost felt like with the escalation, didn't it feel like that should have been like he's graduating the program or something?
I know, you'd think. Yeah. I thought at first when I was reading it before I got to the other part, I was like, oh, stage 3. I thought that was like, oh, you've gone to, you're over it. You know.
Exactly.
But it's the opposite.
Oh my God. What's the Bob's Burger saying? Like, my heart shit my pants when I just was like,
pretty much.
And why am I learning this from Elliot Friedman? Like, what?
Yeah.
But apparently that's where a lot of the team is.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it affected the game 4 as well. Because I was thinking, all right, game 4, we're gonna get the momentum back. They're up 2-1, but we're gonna tie the series back up.
He's healthy. He's got
Drouin back.
Yes.
And then you get hit with the big slap in the face, and then the small slap on the wrist with Devon Taves being out with the illness. But Brit, second time in as many seasons that Val Nichuskin takes the leave in the postseason, and you see what it did. This clearly right here, game 4, 5-1 loss. We thought game 3 was bad.
No, it was the single most embarrassing game that I have ever seen our core collectively play. And, like, I've got a lot of feelings on it, and I just kind of feel like we should just put it all out there and then stop discussing Nuke at this point, because it sounds like we're not going to know anything with the contract not being grounds for termination. I do believe that Joe Mack, I can't even talk, C-Mac and Joe Sakic will go to the Gary Bettman and make some kind of plea, because essentially at this point, all of the discourse around it is irrelevant. It sounds like it's just going to be really messy until we figure out, like, which doors are going to shut in our face.
Yep. And come off season, Brett, I think we'll dive a little bit further into it as we get more information and stuff. Yeah. But for right now,
I feel like we should just go as the interviews. I mean, I wrote down some notes from the interviews, and I think that we've got our answer as to how the team feels about how the progression of relationship is going to go. I think that they're done. I don't think that they can trust him again. It's so incredibly unfortunate that such an insanely talented player has essentially I don't think that he can enter our locker room again. Bednar had a couple comments. I felt like the most telling one was, he said, I've gotten to know Val as a person. I've got to know him as one of our teammates, and I want what's best for him. I want him to be happy. I want him to be content, whether that is with our team or without our team. I want the best for him and his family. He's a big priority, and our team is another one. And now they're separated. They're not together. And then when he asked if these two entities he spoke of, Nuke and his team, can ever come together, Bednar was also efficient in his words. He basically just said, I don't know. So Then we had Jack Johnson saying he made his decisions, and that's all I'm going to say on that. He made his decisions. It sounds like it's just a done conversation. To put it away, put it in your pocket, and consider it an injured for the season. No more discussion. It's just not even. And it hurts, man. You could tell that they were gutted, and I really don't like the negativity coming from Avs fans, because yes, that game was awful, but also we have got to remember that as much as we don't think he is, Nathan MacKinnon is a human.
The whole
And
team is.
yeah, these are dudes that, especially,
they're brothers.
imagine the win coming out from their sails when you got Zach Parise. He said it was his last season, so he might just see his last season go to waste. We've got Cogliano, Jack Johnson, two guys. They're not going to probably get another run, especially not one with a prominent position on the team. So you've got Drouin. He's making, this is his make or break it playoff run. Like this is, he's already had the positions that so many people have been put in. And I know that there is a sympathetic addiction is awful and hard, and it's not simply a decision, but you're not, I just don't believe that you are absolved of consequences, and like the hurt that you put on people, it's not just washed away because it is a disease. I do think that there are decisions put in there, and honestly, it's kind of bewildering to me because I hadn't realized. Were you aware that he was in stage 1 of the player assistance program following the Seattle gig? Which tells me
so, yeah.
It sounds like he didn't enter in willfully for the stint this year, earlier in the year. Sounds like he probably failed a drug test then. And for him to fail a drug test now is really disheartening.
At the the marquee time of all places, right? And but yeah, it's just one of those gut-wrenching things because he was one of the better players on your team. He had this great contract. He was playing up to it. He had this playoff record that he tied, if not broke. I think he tied it at least. But again, this game,
even having missed 2, what did he have? Like 54 points this year? Career year, even missing 2 years worth of, or 2 months, excuse me, for the player assistance program.
And that's the thing on this game 4. It's like you go just right before you're about to take the ice, someone breaks really, really terrible news to you. Then you're just supposed to be like, well, whatever, and try to get mentally back in the game. It's hard, kind of like with what you said. These guys are humans too. These things could get to them.
Absolutely. Their quote this year, so we have like find a way. This year is all in. Consider all of the dominoes, like all of the little things. CMAC, they're all in this year. The Bo Byram trade, giving away first to get rid of Johansson, all of these trades, all of these lives changed and people brought here because this was the year. Last year, there's a reason that, like, okay, we went and got Lars Eller. We knew it wasn't the year last year, but think about all of the, like, I don't want to say waste, but all of the nature of this playoffs and the sacrifices that we made. I mean, if it wasn't an all in here, we probably wouldn't have traded Bo Byram.
Yeah.
And that's what, I don't know. It's just, it's hard to teeter that line of like sympathy and just disgust and disappointment. It's just, especially when, was it just a while back that I told you, I feel like we finally trust him again because, and imagine the team, man. Bednar, Bednar, CMAC, they came out and they put not their whole reputations on the line, but they talked themselves back into trusting him. And can you imagine after the way last year's went down, how hard it would be for them to talk themselves into that?
Yeah.
Imagine if we chose him over Kadri. And now Kadri's just going to waste away. I mean, it's so many lives affected. And I don't know. It's just
and that's just kind of,
I gotta get it all out there, and then I'm just gonna be done with it because really, there's no more rehashing to do until we see what contract buyouts, trades.
What we're able to accomplish.
Bear in mind that there's a good chance that we're gonna have to just put him on a roster again should he be reinstated because we do not get any leeway on his contract or any special as far as where it stands right now, short of Bettman offering some kind of clause for a buyout. I've heard discussions of like a buyout that doesn't have the cap hit, kind of like a Mike Richter situation. But the problem is his had a criminal aspect to it, technically. Which also, I would like to know what the hell the NHL is doing just blowing that news out like 2 hours before a game, like the most important game of literally the entire season.
Terrible, terrible timing.
And I
But
get that you want to catch them off guard, but also even if they had done it like that morning and released the news, like that is pure insanity to me when you consider the rest of the team and not just that particular player.
yeah, just again, just the whole situation. It's frustrating. It's really unfortunate. But I think, like I said, the further we get into the off season and the more details we get, we'll obviously talk about our feeling and kind of reaction to the whole thing and predictions as far as what's going to happen. But again, you could see just a disgruntled Avalanche team. They weren't mentally
The
in that
body
game.
language was so depressing.
They were giving up.
I think
straight up giving up.
the first face-off of the game, Dallas came down with a shot, didn't they?
Yeah.
And we thought for sure they're going to come out and stick it to the man.
Yep.
But I just can't say it enough. Like, we have got to remember that these guys are humans, like passionate humans, and they've been betrayed again. They need a break too, man. And that's them coming out and winning that next game was very telling to me because we see that they have that fight. I thought that game would be very indicative of the overall like dog in them, and they did it. But
but so let's actually go ahead and talk about that one. So all the losses aside, now we're done, right? We're back to happy notes.
We're rolling right into a 7-game win.
That's right. So down 3-1, right? People feeling bad. I wouldn't be surprised if they felt like, you know what, that's the end of the Avalanche season. Understandably why, you know.
I just won't say it out loud.
It'd be one of those where you're just like, you know what, you got screwed by extracurricular activities yet again, right? But the team had other plans. They win the game 5-3. The big story in this one was the third period, which the Avalanche are very proficient in, but it was the combination of depth, the no quit attitude. In fact, the attitude overall in that game, it just felt like that Val Nichuskin news was yesteryear stuff, right? They had turned a completely new leaf. It was incredible to see, right? Joe Pavelski scores. Boom. Arturi Lehkonen scores.
Of course, Of course, Pavelski scores the first goal of his whole entire postseason. Dude, that dude is just... I'm like, where's the F's killer at? Where's the F's killer at? And he's like, right here, Brittany.
But this was the beauty of it. You're matching them stride for stride, right? Yeah. First period, goal. Second period, Heiskanen, then Makar. They keep that thing going because that was the issue with those other games.
Got a lead.
was Dallas would go way up and you'd have to try to play catch up. Not in this game 5.
It's exhausting to claw. And that's exactly what Dallas needs, is because once they get that lead, they just suffocate the neutral zone.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing in front of the net. We're playing the perimeter. Everything that we're doing feeds into them just forcing an exhaustive gameplay.
Exactly. So what do the Avalanche do? Third period, they come out roaring, scoring 2 goals to go up 4-2. Which, by the way, can I just say the Cale Makar goal?
That
was so beautiful.
It felt like a glimpse of Cale Makar that we just haven't gotten to see a whole lot.
Exactly.
And then the goal too. Mac they have all but neutralized him, and it's terrifying.
This was only his 4th goal of the postseason. Yeah.
And this was finally a goal that we just saw Mac. I felt like the Mac and the Makar goal was like them doing their thing without like any, I don't know. It's just so nice to see them play the way that they play.
Yep. That third period looked like your typical Avalanche hockey, your midseason form hockey, and where they just made everything look effortless. They had sustained offensive zone time. They had all these great rushes. They had their forechecking and backchecking were spot on. They were winning their faceoffs when the key moments, right? Just all these little things that were just
winning a couple of faceoff percentages was crazy.
It all just clicked, which was the most beautiful thing. And your power play, you had 2 power play goals on 3 chances. That's good, right?
Crazy.
That's over 50%.
You win the special teams battles. It's almost like
That's right. Your face-offs, excuse me, 45 to 55. So you're still low on the spectrum. But again, considering our average, I swear, is like 15%, I'll take it, right? You out-hit them, you outshot them. But here's the good thing, though. Going back to that percentage that I was telling you about, block shots, Dallas 15, Colorado 10. Still some work to do, but you've narrowed that gap considering the number of shots taken, right? The giveaway takeaways, Dallas 10, Colorado 8 on takeaways. Giveaways, Colorado 6, Dallas 7.
Yeah,
that's one you just
felt
reduce
like we were,
everything as far as that giveaway takeaway ratio is concerned.
Yep. I mean, it was the first game that felt like we had even a slight bit of control in comparison to them. It felt like we have been trailing relentlessly and just constantly answering to them imposing their will on us. And it finally felt like we had just even just a period of time where we had sustained time in the ozone. We had like a little bit of control. We had some control in our rushes. I mean, it's just been so sloppy and just so hasty, and I don't know, just really uncharacteristic of the Avs.
Yeah, 100%. But huge momentum because Dallas was looking to close this thing, right? So they were going to obviously play
the game to win, the fourth win, especially against the Avs. I can't think of a more miserable team to have to close out a series against.
Yeah, because again, obviously the desperation sets in because it's win and can win or go home, right? That's kind of it.
They had time to process and get mad. I think that they definitely were playing with a chip on their shoulder now at this point.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that has to be against, trauma within your own team.
Yeah, that's also very true.
I still believe that this team can do it. And like I said before, once we get to the Western Conference, I think it's all easier from there. Like, I just truly believe that whoever we played in, the Knights in Dallas, and then getting past Winnipeg, I thought that those would be the three hardest matchups that we would see. Yeah. And then after that, I don't want to say it's smooth sailing, but I'm not giving up hope. Might use those words here in 3 hours, but I'm just not. I just refuse to write them off. We have three of the best players in the world, and as far as I'm concerned, the best player in the world. Because Mac's not the only one that's been neutralized. I don't know if you've noticed, but McDavid has essentially been neutralized in his own series. So we're not. Yeah. This is a weird year for
postseason.
It's all very weird postseason.
Yeah. The only good news comes from the Eastern Conference that the Rangers beat the Carolina Hurricanes, and so my wife she's happy, but boy howdy, she was pretty upset going into that third period. So there's always that. At least I have that to fall on.
Rather the Avs play the Rangers than the Hurricanes. Like, they're just pesky, and they strike me more as a team that could really
100%. So, however, I do like the attitude that you and our friend G Money 88 have here. The Avs are going to win tonight. You're back in Denver, home ice. The momentum's on your side coming after a win.
Dallas is the best away team from the regular season, and we're the best home team from the regular season.
So you need to show Denver.
Ball Arena needs to be hopping tonight.
And this is the time for the Avalanche to basically give the apology game that the Avalanche fans wanted in games 3 and 4. Right.
And also the last game against Dallas when you and I attended.
That's also true. We need our redemption on that too.
So depressing.
So the big takeaway on this one, obviously, your back is up against the wall. This is a situation here in about 30 minutes or so. Win or go home.
That's right? And man, it feels like it's been a hot minute since we've felt this. It's always felt like we've always been in absolute, like absolute certainty, doomsville, or like, we got this. At no point during the Winnipeg series did I think that we were toast, except maybe after game 1. But even then, I've just had faith in Georgia this whole entire time. Like, I just genuinely have.
Yep. And I think that's going to be sorry to cut you off there, but I think that's going to be kind of the key to this next game, 2 games, right?
Could you imagine if Georgiev had come out and shit the bed the other night?
Well, that's what I'm saying is how in the first series,
Oh,
the big changing factor was Georgiev playing
yeah.
better from games 1 to the next 4, right?
Yeah.
The key in this one is do not fall into a multi-goal deficit. Continue to press, continue to show that untamed energy effectively that led you to, if they score, you score right back. If they have momentum, you get that momentum right back, right?
It'd
It's
be nice to
that
see him
taking.
steal a couple more. If we could cut them down to like just 2 goals, and we're gonna need him if we're gonna get through this series and go anywhere after that. We are gonna, as well as he has been playing, which is so funny because after game 1, it's like, oh my god, all we need is for Georgiev not to suck and we'll win the whole thing. And now it's like, okay, we should be like screaming his praises, but it's like, yeah, dude, we get it. You're good. You're good. We got to deal with other shit here. Like,
Now we got the other problem of the rest of the team.
I know, and he does deserve more praise than he's gotten, but it will certainly change the outlook of the rest of this series if he can, which, oh my god, he's had some good saves, but if he can truly go otherworldly just to get through these 2 games, he could single-handedly save us, because we know we're good for 2 goals, but if he could go out there and have one of those idiotic shutouts or 1-goal games, I mean, would make life a lot easier on our guys.
Exactly. So that's going to be one of the keys to the game, is to match stride for stride, punch for punch. But I'm going to also up it a notch. Score.
So you want Georgie to score?
Yeah, I want him to get a goal.
Get a shutout and also
get a goal. It's not that hard. That's not too much to ask, I feel like. No, I'm kidding. Score in the first period.
For the love of God, score in the first 5 minutes. Why can this
not be a thing?
Just do it just once. Feel how good it feels.
It's ridiculous, especially because this is the last time in Ball Arena, at least for this series.
Oh.
This is one where you need to feed off of energy, and Ball Arena is one of the most energetic places on planet Earth.
Thinking, what if they just put Gabe Landeskog out there?
Surprise guest appearance, Gabe Landeskog. Yeah, that'd be something.
But then if you lose, like,
yeah, see, and I still say, you know what? It's fun that he's skating and taking shots, by the way. Did you see his practices in front of the net deflecting shots? I was like,
almost full participant in practice, but we'll just leave that as a wet dream for now. But it's
there you go. There you go.
This isn't the game, because to waste that energy on like losing game 7 feels.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But if we get through this, I really believe he's gonna have his Steven Stamkos moment in the next round. Which,
you think so?
We'll probably end up playing the Oilers, and like not like they're out there hurting anybody anyway.
Nonsense.
Dallas would probably come out and just cross-check him right in the kneecaps.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what they'll do. It's gonna be Jamie Mann.
No, I would sell, like, got both my dogs here, my all my jewelry on the wall, sell all of it to be there for the first game.
There you go. There you go. So you have this game tonight, right? You push it, you try to push for the game 7, because you have won 2 out of those 3 games in Dallas. That favors you.
Yeah, the road issue really doesn't scare me.
Doesn't seem to bother anyone.
It almost feels like at home anymore we're kind of being weird, but that is no issue to me. It's irrelevant. I have a lot of faith in this team, but the injuries scare me a little bit. I do worry, how many times can you push it to the brink like they did, where we saw those flutters of Makar, like if he is injured?
The only thing, and let me make sure I have this right, is where'd it go? The injury report. Here we go. So as it sits right now, Yakov Trenin is out. Taves is day-to-day, but I believe he's in. Same with Drouin and Kiwi Ronda. So I believe just Trenin is out, which that's
a lot harder than people.
That's a lot harder than it turns out that it could be.
That's a big old workhorse that doesn't get enough recognition, I don't think. God, I hope we can keep that guy.
Yep. And that's the thing, is he's kind of the Iron Giant, when it comes to he just goes in and does the work.
Yeah.
And it very minimally gets rewarded for it with a goal or an assist, but he just has that.
But he's one of those dudes that leads to that sustained pressure that ultimately ends up in the next and getting out there and getting a goal.
Exactly.
So we just upper body for him, right? I
believe that's what it was. I believe that's what it was. So we'll have to see. I want to say is Wagner, is he going to come back and fill that role? So
yeah, I saw him. Which I don't know about you, and I don't hate him, but I'd like to not see Caleb Jones for a little while because holy God, dude. Which granted, one of those penalties was really soft, but like, buddy, they've clearly got there. Something about, and I think it's just a matter of keeping up, I suppose. Do you think it's just foot speed for him? Because all of his penalties seem to be hooking.
It is because he does seem to fall behind and he's trying to catch back up, and that's kind of what gets him in trouble. But
it's like, baby, come on. Like,
like it probably would have been better if you just trailed behind and played catch up instead of trying to
the breakaway
atone for that.
Especially when our PK is we're giving up freaking 2 shorthanded goals.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. On the Dallas side, though, no Yanni Hakanpää and no Rupe Hintz.
Is Hakanpää out? Because if he came back, that would be like oh shoot.
Yeah. And they also list Tyler Sagan as day-to-day, Marchment as day-to-day, and Foxa as day-to-day. I'm not sure what their statuses are, unfortunately, but the 2 that we know are out are Rupe Hintz and Yanni Hakanpää. So that's a little bit heavier blow on the Dallas side. So that's something you have to take advantage of now. And
Tanev's playing hurt.
Tanev's playing hurt. Yep. So they'll be down a D-man and down a center.
Do you think that we're like the dirtiest team on the face of the earth? Were you aware of that?
We are?
Yeah.
Who's saying that?
The Dallas fans. It's been astounding me, the conversations that I've seen. So the cross-check on Hintz, he kind of goes down and is skating like back first. Was it into McKinnon or Manson? And he gives him like a cross-check to the back, but he's also skating at his feet, like backwards, sliding into his feet. So it just really didn't seem that dirty. But yeah, apparently we're just like, man, we're a bunch of dirty assholes.
The same one. This is the same one where a guy on their team literally just shoulder checked a guy that he almost knocked him unconscious.
Yeah, and like the Zach Parise cross check, I'm honestly wouldn't be surprised if Zach Parise ended up calling it a play. That was such a hard cross check to the bare back.
Yeah,
hold your horses,
man. But anyway, that is going to be something to keep an eye on here in the next few minutes as this game gets rolling.
I know.
This depth.
My dog's getting real excited for game time. She's like, "Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello, game's going to be on here." However, that's going to be maybe something to look at because depth now for Dallas gets a little bit affected.
And that's what
they take advantage of those types of things.
Dallas has got the depth. Avs don't have the depth. And I'm just super. We had the depth. The depth all died. Like they're all.
Yep. So if depth can come up and. Yep. If the depth can show up, I mean, you're in really good shape. But either way, Brit, I think
tone this guy down to the Johnston kid, dude. That kid's
something else, man.
Dallas is going to be. Oh, and did you know that he's 21? Were you aware that the child is 21?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
he's got a bright future though, but I just don't want it to be this season against us
for a long time. They're with Johnston, Stinky Oven, Robertson. I mean, they're going to be. This is going to be like a very not ever going away problem. It's going to be us and them through the length of our window, and just pray to God that our window hasn't been shortened.
Yeah, 100%. So. With that being said,
we got a live watch.
Not a lot more. Yep, we got the neighborhood out on the other channel on the network, so don't forget to go over and check that out. But I think, Brit, the momentum being on our side, if we can just replicate what we did in that last third period throughout this entire game, we're heading back to Dallas for Game 7. I bet you.
We don't win closing games at home. Everybody knows that. We close out our series on the road. Sure none of our people can be there to see it.
And just like Matthew Tkachuk said last season against the Bruins, I don't want to, what did he say? Like, I don't want to come back to this and lose or something like that.
Yeah.
Same mentality. That's what I'm trying to go after. poor execution on what I was trying to say. But yeah, that's my rally the troops cry for you. That's why I'm not a good politician.
I feel like we've had the perfect amount of time for them to be real ready to go, say screw the world and do it. So
yep, and again, you got nothing to lose.
No,
so play like it.
And it's a dangerous, at least until the end of this game. Dallas they're not facing the desperation that we are. And teams playing loose with nothing to lose is the most unfortunate way to have to face a team.
It's also the most electric and the most entertaining too.
Yeah, especially when it's Nathan freaking McKinnon. I'm sorry, but it is a blessing to have Drouin healthy and as healthy. I haven't seen his cut on his calf or whatever, but about as fresh as you can be coming back from an injury that ideally shouldn't be a lingering one. So I'd like to see Drouin get out there and solidify his kick-assness because he really has been.
100%. Okay, well, I think that'll wrap us up here. So it gives you time to pop some popcorn, get your jerseys on, and turn on the game. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of, I'm just watching the last little, just keeping track of the Florida Panthers game.
Okay, I thought you were going to give me some bad news. Boston's winning it?
Florida just scored and broke the tie with a minute and a half left.
They're such douchebags.
Ooh, yikes.
I don't even know.
So
both of them are terrifying teams to play just because they're just brutal, awful people.
Yeah.
I love them both. I'm going to be honest, but
there you go. So Boston's got a minute and a half to tie the game and send it to overtime. If not, your Eastern Conference matchup is the Rangers and the Panthers. But as far as we're concerned, we have a game to play. No, we have 2 games to win. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah. I think if Georgiev just pitches 2 shutouts in a row,
that should do her.
That should do it.
We got Ottinger letting in some muffins. That second Cale Makar, that was a muff. So let's hope we get a little more of those.
Well, good. Okay. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us then. Thank you once again, everyone, for following along and watching this episode of the Cluster Puck Podcast. Again, if you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can follow them on the various social media platforms. Again, the neighborhood for the live watch is going to be on right after us here at 8 o'clock.
I'm going to crash it. Might try.
There you go. So go check that out as well so you can see some real passion from Bill. That man's got passion.
Yeah, I couldn't bear to go while he was still here.
But if you want for an emotional roller coaster and some good times, go ahead and hop on over that. But if you want to follow us specifically, you can follow us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook and then at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. With that being said, we'll see you next week, either very downtrodden and eliminated, or we're advancing to the Western Conference Final. Only one way to find out. Let's play 1 game at a time, but let's win 2. Yeah. With that being said, let's go out there, give it 100%, nothing to lose, and as always, go Avs go.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my